No joke, today we are actually going to talk about the DA-2062. There are many different methods the Army uses to hand receipt items from one person to the next. The DA-2062 is by far the most common as it is the manual form. There are three primary uses for the 2062: issue document, component listing, and shortage annex. The form will be used slightly differently depending on the context of your situation. If used correctly, each type will be used hand in hand with the other types. It's a synergy. Oh man, I just know some lieutenant colonel out there love to hear that. So today, I'll be going over how to use the form as an issued document. Let's start by reviewing the form. The first block indicates who's issuing the item, the from block, and who is receiving the item, the to block. The next block, the hand receipt number, applies mostly to organizations and activities that carry many hand receipts or issue large amounts of equipment. Activities such as issue warehouses, company supply rooms, or property book officers. By labeling each hand receipt holder as a number or letter, it is easy for these activities to consolidate hand receipts into single records when issuing bulk equipment over time. It is not required to be used in normal circumstances, but you can use the block to help you organize your files if you so choose to use it. The next set of blocks helps to indicate the information of the specific end item. This is only used when using the form as a component listing or a shortage annex, so we will talk about these blocks next time. Now for the meat of the form, the area where you designate what is to be lent or issued. In block A, you must input the NSN of the item. If it is an end item, I also suggest you enter the LIN, but this is not mandatory. The next block is the item description. The best way to fill this out is to enter the exact nomenclature of the item, as it is reflected in FedLog or in the TM. You can also input some additional information, such as measurements, composition, or other identifying attributes. This is also where you input serial numbers of items. If the item is being tracked by serial number, this is mandatory. If it is not, it is generally wise to still track it by serial number if it has one. Block C has two uses by the regulation. First, you can input the ARC code of the item, or second, you can list the annex number here. Annexes are used when you're issuing or lending several end items with components. Instead of listing each end item and all of its components, you can create separate hand receipts or annexes for each item with a component. You can label these annexes however you choose, then you input the label into the block. Doing this will help you to have a clean system of accountability for all of your items and their components. Block D is where you can enter the CIIC code of the item. You may or may not need to use this, and we will go over what the CIIC code is later, but for now, don't worry about it. Block E shows the unit of issue or how the item is issued. For example, if the item is a truck, it is issued by each, or EA. If it is a box of pencils, it is issued by the box, or BX. Block F indicates the quantity that is authorized. This is used when there is a certain authorization for the item, whether it is called for by the MTO, CTA, or component listing. If you are simply issuing equipment to a subordinate or lending it to another soldier, you do not need to fill out this block unless you're using the 2062 as a component listing. And finally, Block G shows the actual issued quantity. As you can see, it has 6 columns in a row. The first time you use the form, you can use column A to record the quantities. There may be unused blocks in this column. Simply ensure that the block is filled in with a line or a slash to indicate that the block is not used. As time passes, or as items are returned or additional items are lent out, each successive line can indicate the changes. By simply adding the information for the newly issued items or deleting the quantity for the items that were turned in, you can reuse the form. Additionally, as items are returned or others are lent out, make sure you record or delete the serial numbers in Block B. At the bottom of each column as they are used, the receiver will sign and date vertically. This indicates that they acknowledge the receipt of the items. You can also have them print their name and their rank, along with some contact and unit information. It is important to have the recipient of the equipment re-sign at a regular interval. Normally every 30 days or whenever a change occurs in what is issued or the quantities. Though the 2062 has no expiration date by regulation, if you do not get in the habit of getting the hand receipt re-signed, the person you issue the item to may PCS without you knowing it, leaving you liable for the loss. Not to mention that you should be doing at least an eyes-on inventory of all your property at least monthly, including any items that are issued or lent out unless you physically cannot do it. Before I wrap this up, I want to mention one more thing. The DA-2062 is only one type of hand receipt the Army uses. They can vary from PBOOS generated hand receipts to tool sign-out logs and CIF hand receipts. You can even use a memorandum for record if you feel it is necessary, so long as it contains the same types of information a 2062 would. However, the 2062 is simply the manual form that is most widely used. Here are the key takeaways from this video. Number 1. There are 3 uses for the DA-2062: issue document, component listing, and shortage annex. Number 2. The form establishes accountability of lent and issued items. Number 3. The DA 2062 has no expiration, but it is your responsibility to keep it current. Next week, we'll go over the component listing. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the subscribe button. And until next time, remember, the Army goes rolling along.